Tank Top Tuesday on the Shark Cove, let's all celebrate. Two dudes in tank tops to talk about league. Where to shop? These sharks are the best in the game. Did you know that on the show on Tuesday it's a gun show? The arms out for all to see. Tank Top Tuesday on the Shark Cove, let's all celebrate. Two dudes in tank tops to talk about league. Way to shop, these sharks are the best in the game.
Welcome. What up? What an intro. If you guys missed the first part of it, go back and watch it. It's fantastic. Thank you, Cookies. That was a amazing song. I've been sitting on it for a week. Cookies just creates content for Tank Top Tuesdays and not whatever we have going on during the rest of the week. But fantastic. Your voice is amazing. There was no auto-tune. Dude, a future star is born. It is Tank Top Tuesday, and it wouldn't be Tank Top Tuesday without my brother in a tank top, my guy, Moose. How you doing, man?
Let's do it. New week. I'm winning all my head-to-heads this week. I called it. Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, how could you not after watching that video? I've played that video so honestly the song plays in my mind all the time.
It doesn't really,
because I've played it so many times for different people. Like obviously there's a couple of people I know that don't watch the show because they don't play LOL DFS, but I sent them the video so they could see it ahead of time. I played the song for Josh last week. I played it for my wife. My wife likes your vocals, Justin. So great job there. Fantastic. Look, Moose, it is a new day. We're back from site maintenance like Draftkings, and we're ready to kind of, take this on. And we have an interesting slate ahead of us. We have a couple games that feel like they're pretty straightforward. We have a couple games that look like, they could go one way or the other. I'd venture to guess that, those games that could go one way or the other do not have any player on them that you would describe as sneaky, a sneaky play, I should say, not sneaky himself. The player in question, of course, is an ADC like the namesake Sneaky, namesake, not snake. So whatever. Let's hop right into it. Here we go. Let's pop onto the screen. Boom. And there we go. We've got our opening game over in the LCK. Really disgusting betting line. But, one of the things that I want to point out is that we've seen some disgusting betting lines hit recently in all different markets. So, one that I was exploring last night before I went to sleep, and I'm kicking myself because I was looking through it. I was thinking about betting like the plus 30 or 38 over on the V5 JDG series. And I was looking through it, I'm like, how many times have these teams hit 40? And JDG has hit 40 a couple times. It's not abnormal for them to hit it. Is that plus 700, by the way? V5 didn't. So I hesitated and I didn't. And I just took like the 27.5. Look, I got paid on both of the games. But I got out of an appointment this morning. I took a look and I was like, man, that plus 700. I think it was. I could have got like plus 500 on the. I could have made like a cool $1,500 or something in that range off of like just two $100 bets. But nevertheless, the one that I prompted this discussion was Bro. And last week we talked about Bro against this T1 team. You were like, nah, I don't know. And we decided not to. We decided not to even take a shot at the money line, right? Bro wins the first game and makes me think, man, that's probably a mistake. They can win this, right? They didn't. But we got a much better team here. We've got KT. It's the telecom battle. Moose, tell me why I should bet this plus 415.
I don't think you should bet the plus 415, but you should definitely bet the plus 1.5. Plus 415 is a lot, but definitely think KT takes a game here, man. It feels like T1 are just really sloppy, and I know it's not their drafts. I don't know really what they're doing, but they're losing. The past two games they lost. They gave up a game to KDF. They gave up a game to Bro, and even the second Bro game felt like it was actually pretty close. And it feels like T1 are, I don't know, they're not at the top of their game. They're experimenting with some stuff. They're trying out different things. It doesn't seem like they're really as crisp as they once were. I don't know if you sprinkle the plus 415. I know you will, but I'll just take the plus 1.5.
Yeah, I think you do sprinkle the plus 415 because when we look at this KT team, I think that they have two win conditions. And it's the same every single game. You've got your guy in the bottom lane who's just been absolutely carrying this team. It's like a diamond ADC playing with a bunch of bronze players is what it feels like against like teams full of silver guys. Like, he's better than everybody, but everybody's better than his team, and he's carrying them, and that's Amy. And look, for everything that Gumi has done, I think that he and Kiera have been exposed to a certain extent. They do overstep in lane. They have been exploitable in certain situations by certain bot lanes. It's just a matter of whether or not the rest of that team can capitalize, because as many mistakes as they might make, Zeus is just an absolute beast up in the top lane. The thing that makes me think that KT can win this is Rascal has been playing infinitely better than he did to start the split. I don't know what it was. I don't know, what happened to him, or maybe it's something with the durability patch, the champs, his familiarity. I don't know what it is, but he has played significantly better over like the last 2 to 3 weeks. And this team has played better, and they've closed out games as a result. And that's not to discredit the other members of the team who I think have done very well as in addition to those two guys. But those are the two keys. And, the thing is, we look at these games and we look at who they've played, and I apologize. I need to change this to this, and we're going to go to LCK. They've been on a little bit of a tear. We talked about this last week when they were going into the Nongshim series. I bet the 2-0 and when I put these games in, sometimes it's like a week later when I put these games in, and it's like reliving bad things of the past. And like that Nongshim loss cost me a tremendous amount of money. And there were like 3 other games that I have to put in, and I was just like, man, I remember what happened here, and this is terrible. But so KT's been on quite the tear, and contrastly, look, T1 is no slouch, but they have been dropping games to teams like HLE, KDF, and Bro. All I would say are, lesser than this KT team. I really, KT, DRX, and Sandbox are the 3 teams that I'm looking at as being that 4th representative. And hell, one of them might even get in above Damwon, who we'll talk about later. But I think you're right. This is an absolute smash spot on that plus 1.5, and I think you do sprinkle the plus 415.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just sprinkle away. Plus 1.5, and looking forward to see what KT can do. Honestly, this entire split has made me really not like T1. Like, don't get me wrong, like Zeus is a great player, and Faker has moments, and Owners run sometimes just takes over games and does what he needs to do, but it just doesn't feel like they're taking games seriously or respecting their opponents, and they just get caught. And they showed it so far last 2 games. So uh, I'm not really interested in over unders because it does feel like when T1 loses, they do lose the game significantly. But we'll see.
Yeah, and that number set at like 22.5 is a number that we've seen as KT, win some of their games. They win in this fashion where they don't necessarily get a ton of kills. The other team doesn't die a ton, and we see these under 20 games quite a bit. When we go look at T1, when they lose, I think that falls into place with what they've done as well. Just remembering back to this Gen G game right here, they fell behind so enormously and so early that they were just on the back foot the rest of the way, and they didn't press or, I guess, try and make anything happen. And maybe that is a different strategy that works against KT versus Gen G, because really all they're hoping for is the other team to make a mistake. This is no different than what I try and impress upon my solo queue teammates, that, when we fall behind, it's cool. It's just like, why are we roaming in their jungle? Like, why are we in their jungle right now when we're down so far? These are the same type of things that T1 is hoping for, is that they're going to overstep, make a mistake, and they're going to be able to capitalize and get back into the game. Unlike my solo queue teammates, Gen G didn't make those mistakes, but I guess KT is probably a little bit more prone to it. Look, I like KT. I think KT is actually a fantastic GPP play, because we have, while we see KT on the lower end of KPW, we do see when T1 loses, outside of that specific Gen G game, they die a fair amount. And so if we can get 2 of those games, an aiming rascal mini stack, I think you're going to see quite a few of those in the main.
Yeah, aiming and rascal are going to be the 2 biggest focuses because Kuz is allergic to fantasy points. And overall, they like KT are just a team that understand what they want to do. There's no guessing with KT. Like they have a complete understanding of what they're gonna achieve, win or lose, and that's pretty much buff up their carries and make sure that they succeed in the team fights and come through with it. And I feel like you said, Rascal's play has just been significantly better, and that has really, really, really changed the course of KT. I think KT is going for a W here, and they're going to be challenging both games pretty seriously. And if they win, it'll be on the back of aiming. And actually, another person we didn't mention was Life. Life has been just absolutely beastly last couple of games as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's hop over to the LPL and let's take a look at 2 of the worst teams. And look, we're going to see a lot of these teams. They're a little bit back in terms of games played, specifically LGD. They're 1 to 2 games back. They come into this game not a sizable favorite, but a favorite nonetheless. Probably a position they're unfamiliar with. Team WE is almost even money. That's a position that they're unfamiliar with. These 2 teams have been interchanging their roster pieces, trying to figure out and find something that works. But I think part of their inability to find something that works is all of this shuffling. Now, we've seen the video now from Team WE, very reminiscent of the CLG video that we saw, maybe last year sometime when Broxa and Finn were still there. The whole, hey, if you guys, if you don't win, we're going to have to replace you. You've got, Beishan just being like, yo, I don't have any help. And the coach, hey, if you can't win, you're trash, but I'm trash too. And he's gone. I thought that would reinvigorate the team and, propel them to a win over IG. Now, it didn't, but they did get 31 kills in the second game. It was a complete fiesta, and parts of that team outscored IG, and that was much to my dismay. Moose, how do you see this game playing out? Is this going to be just a slot fest where they're going to get a ton of kills? I'll just throw this out there for you. The over-under on this is 25.5, which isn't altogether that high. Smidge higher than what you would normally see in the LPL, but not a super high one. To give you contrast, or a comparison rather, JDG Victory 5 was 27.5.
Yeah. I can't believe it, but I think for the first time in the split, we get two toilet bowls, not just one. Our first toilet bowl was with Invictus, and then Invictus beat them. So then LGD ended up making their way down as the only one win team, and now we get that matchup again. Um, if you can figure out who's gonna play these games tonight, then more power to you, because it just feels like it's just a a cluster of a situation when it comes to LGD constantly trying people out. And like you said, WE are they're kind of like the LGD of last year. They're really good at making the other team look amazing in some games, and really good at making themselves look amazing in a different game. And yeah, watching that WEIG match was the most frustrating thing ever, because it looked like the first game that they played was, it felt like WE completely had no clue what the hell was going on, and then they switch into blue side, and all of a sudden it's like a completely different team. I mean, they're just completely going off. It's like, uh, you know, well, whatever the the kid that was playing Ziri was just popping off and destroying everybody, Ijing, and it was just like, oh my god, somebody ban Ziri, please! Like, this kid is going off. They made IG look good, and then of course the last game was also kind of kind of anticlimactic. It didn't really feel like IG really needed to do anything to win, and they just kind of walked all over them. I think it might be just a kind of a crisis with WE not really knowing how to play red side, and also not really having any confidence in themselves or their team. I think I think Bubu in the second game scored like, he had 5 kills and 21 assists on GP, and then the moment that Zeri or GP doesn't get drafted anymore by them, they just completely fall apart. The team did look a lot better with Kadaya, and even in the third game, Jing was going off on Callista. So I mean, I think he's a solid piece, but overall, this is a matchup where I first of all, I don't know what LGD is going to do with their players if they lose the first game, but they do have blue side, so I expect them to win the first game. And then from there, it's just going to be a complete fiesta. I mean, it's a bigger toilet bowl than last time.
So, one of the problems that I have in trying to figure out how LGD is going to play this game is we just don't have a lot of comparables in terms of who they've played that are bad. I mean, I suppose the only one that we have is Up. Up's not a very good team. I guess you could say the same thing about BLG. And those are mid 20 games that you don't really see some of those pop offs. Now, you did see, a 20-19 loss to LNG. You did see an 8-26 loss to FPX. So we do have this ability to get a lot of kills, give a lot of kills. But I guess 19 and 16 to EDG feels like it would be an equivalent of like 24 or 25 to Team WE. Just because I don't think that they're going to be able to finish the game as cleanly. There probably will be a slight level of hesitation in people playing players from this game just based on the sub situation, right? I think it's worse for LGD because they've shown that they will sub mid game or mid series, where WE really hasn't necessarily shown that. Now, granted, they did swap out Heal for Kadaya, but Heal's like absolutely garbage. The fact that he even was out there, and I think you and I discussed it, and maybe even you shunned me on this, or maybe somebody else. I don't know. I've had a couple of people tell me Heal was good, and a couple other people say that he wasn't bad, and some other people saying he's the worst player in the LPL. So pretty large, range of opinions there. I will tell you, the people that think he's really bad are the people that know it a little bit more, and we're not talking about just for fantasy purposes, but when we look at Team WE, on the other hand, this is a team that has had multiple 40 mid 30s kill total games. When they win 22.8, like they have this fiesta capability. So I am excited. I think a lot of my attention is going to be focused on this game and trying to get pieces from it, and just being okay if I'm wrong, because I think that these two teams have probably the highest potential for kill output Whether or not they end up being it, I don't know. There's some other games that are going to be particularly bloody, or at least have the potential to be. So I like WE. I like LGD. The hardest thing, Moose, is to try and figure out who the fuck's going to win this. Like, I don't know. I have no idea who's going to win this. And I think this is going to go to a 3-game series. And I don't even know if it matters to get the winner right here. I think this is a situation where the loser could potentially still end up being the optimal. Look, I'm going to sprinkle some game stacks. Like, if you're not playing game stacks of this, I don't know what's wrong with you. I know M. Belvin's going to have a game stack somewhere of this game. I'm going to have a game stack. Reformed Racer's going to have a game stack. Schlu's probably going to have a game stack. Other people are going to have game stacks. It's just game stacks for everybody. That's how it's going to be. Are you going to have a game stack?
I am. I'll have some game stacks in there for sure. But yeah, I mean the WE is playing Demon for the first time today, so I think they're pretty much retiring Bubu, or what it feels like if WE somehow win this game.
Look, maybe Bubu and Beishan are like, just, we're done.
I think they're done. Like, I think that, to me, it just seems like WE have cashed in their chips for the season, and LGD is kind of doing the same thing. They're just trying out different combinations of players to see like what, if anything, clicks. And I think they pretty much shut down Shadow because Kui was coming in, but then Shadow played the game, and then he got sad.
I thought Shadow was the starter. Let me pull this.
He was. He
started. Yeah, but he's not starting. Yeah, he's not starting
today he's cooing it up. Yeah, and then Fearness, like you said, if they lose the first game, he's definitely getting swapped. And
I don't know. Looking at this and the way they played, like, Fearness has just played significantly better, I think, and that says something because it's not necessarily good. I think that they probably run this lineup. Maybe if I'm LGD and I'm looking at the future, and I don't know what kind of contracts these guys are under, but I think the Shadow experiment is over, right? Like, they've ran with him for a significant amount of time at this point, to little to no success, and he needs to go somewhere else, or they need to get other pieces. I think that they have like a decent bot lane that they can build around. Assume it might be the only piece, but Jin Zhao, or however you say his name, seems decent enough. But nevertheless, I think the only thing that's bettable here for me is kind of like overs. And I think, these 25.5, as we go back and take a look at this, 25.5 feels pretty good. But I think I'm more interested in taking like some smaller positions and trying to, hit some of these mid-30s games. And so when we look at that, I mean, we're talking, like, I think I'm going to take a stab at some of these, like maybe like
35.5.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think I'm going to take like maybe like 0.3 or 0.5. I don't know. If I was drinking on the show tonight, I'd probably hammer 100 right now. But
definitely,
Silver Me is a little bit more cautious when it comes to that. But I think that these games have the potential for that. I certainly think that this 29.5 is a realistic target for one or two of these games. So I might ladder it up with smaller amounts and just hope that I, get a 36 or a 40 kill game and I cash in,
Yeah, I can definitely see that. WE also starting Shanks after, I guess, not being happy with GA's performance on, I don't know, whatever he played, Azir, Ari. So I think overall it just feels like them having two new people plus View in his second game and Kadaya back. It feels like LGD should have a chance to come out ahead in the first game and kind of snowball from there. And if that's the case, then you definitely want to target Assume and Jin Zhao, and from there, just figure it out. I guess Hai Chao has been playing the last couple of games, so maybe he's a good target, and you go from there. But overall, it feels like
you get pieces from this game is what it is.
Yeah, you get pieces from this game, and given the fact that Shanks is coming back in and View is on the second game and Demon is starting his first LPL game, I believe, minus 128 might even be too low.
It might be, but I'm probably not going to bet. I'm not going to bet on bad teams. Like, look, when the line is like this, I don't like to do it. I'm looking at this kind of like the same way I look at certain ERL games, that we don't know enough about how these teams are going to react in certain situations that they're going to be put in. And, drawing these lines this close, I'm just not getting enough. I don't have enough confidence in one team. I'm not getting enough plus money on the other. I'm just going to bet the overs and go crazy there. So that game's kind of a toss-up, right? The next game, not so much. The next game is, Damwon minus 2,000. This was another team that I was putting in some data in, and I was like, these motherfuckers, the DRX game specifically. And then I was putting in some Hanwha data, and I actually had to put in half the split. Apparently have just said, screw it. I don't need to put in Hanwha data because I don't really need to know, what their KPL is or KPW and DPL, because they just suck. Plus 825 seems about right. I'm not going to bet that. The plus 1.5 at plus 210. Now that is a bit interesting, despite the fact that they've just been getting throttled recently. There is an expectation that Sam D might be back, and that does give the team a little bit of credibility, because as bad as Sam D is, this Chironi guy has been absolutely atrocious. On the other side of things, Damwon been playing really well, except for when I roster them and just push my chips in the middle, like, yo, let's go, guys. That's when they drop silly games to DRX, don't score any points, it costs me a ton of money. I don't think that there's anything that's necessarily bettable, at least from what's on the screen right here.
Yeah, this feels like a Damwon 2-0 after absolutely shitting the bed against DRX again. And I mean, it's just so hard to read that team, and I don't really want to read them. In their previous matchup against HLE, which was at the start of the season, no, not at the start of the season. It was actually July 9th. In their previous match 2.5 weeks ago, Damwon absolutely decimated HLE and dropped 40 kills in 2 games.
It was the only reason that people over the last 2 or 3 weeks have played Damwon in DFS even a little bit more. It's one of those weird things, you just bought into the fact that they weren't a DFS team. The numbers supported it, right? You look back at spring, you look back at summer, you're like, I just don't want to get involved with these guys. And then they drop this 20, and I remember that, Moose. I woke up and I had no Damwon, and I saw that they won 20-15. I was like, well, fuck, man. But they're going to drop 8 kills in the next game. And then I woke back up after, resting for a little longer and saw that they dropped 20, and I absolutely knew that they were going to be optimal. The question, I guess, that I have to pose to you is, do they replicate that performance, or do they replicate one of every one of their other performances where, they're getting 27, 28, 30 kills in a sweep?
I mean, if I knew the answer to that question, I would probably roster Damwon tonight, or not roster them. But I feel like HLE are just not good enough of a team to really pose a threat to Damwon, and there's probably a higher chance of Damwon just walking over them in a 15 kill win than Damwon going off for another couple 20 kill games. I think you just kind of play the law of averages here, right? Damwon score 15 kills per win or whatever. They average 15 a death. So if we're expecting, maybe a slightly bumped up number because it's HLE, but I would still expect them to be in the 15 to 17, 18 kill range.
Yeah, when you look at HLE, I mean, yes, at the beginning of the season, they were taking games. They took a game off of KDF. They took a game off of DRX. They took a game off of Nongshim, 2 games off of Bro, and then a game off of Sandbox. And most recently, surprisingly, they took that game off of T1. But aside from that, they've just been getting absolutely throttled. Look, Sandbox, they took a game off of them, but then they gave up 38 kills. They gave up 40 to Damwon, and it almost is starting to trend towards something that you might want to target in DFS. But then they go and in their 2 losses to T1 give up a total of 22 kills, to Sandbox 27, KT 21. Some unknown team that I don't have the correct label on, 29. Look, these are not totals that you want in DFS, and these are totals that Damwon are very comfortable playing within that range. So I don't know, man. Like I don't think that you take too many stabs if you're playing the main GPP, the $15. Yeah, I think you probably want to have a little bit of Damwon exposure if you are MMEing, but I'm probably going to steer clear of them in most smaller entry, and probably you might be able to consider them in cash because there are some pieces of Damwon that tend to do exceptionally well when they get a fair amount of kills. It's just a matter of like, are they going to get 30 kills over under? You know, and if they drop a game, that's the thing. And that's the same thing with Team One. Like if either of these teams drop a game, it automatically almost guarantees that they're not going to be in the optimal build. No parts of them should be in the optimal build. It would take a series of events in all the other series for them to make it there. And it's not to say that that doesn't happen, because it certainly does. We've seen it, week in and week out. I just don't know if it happens this week. If we're playing teams like KT or, LGD or WE, and we're paying them because of their upside, I think you void Damwon because they just don't have as much of it.
Yeah, I'm not excited about Damwon tonight for sure. I think anybody playing Damwon tonight is just hopeful that they do what they did against HLE, but since that game, like you said, they've pretty much done nothing. A 13-11 kill over Freaks, 16-11 kill win over Bro, and then a quick 32 kill win over Nongshim. I mean, small stack at best, right? And I'm still playing
Yeah,
them in
or
cash, but I'm not happy
you
about it.
you you can bet this minus 5,000. You can throw 5,000 to win 100. Like it seems like a good bet.
Yeah, you could. You could throw up 5,000 to win 100 for sure.
Hey, $100 is $100, but I don't like the over unders on this. I think if I am taking a stab here, you throw a tiny little itty bitty sprinkle on that plus 825, and then bet a closer to like a half unit or full unit on that plus 1.5, and that hope that Damwon slips up, because they certainly have not looked infallible this split.
Yeah, not great by Damwon, and they are the priciest team on the slate, so tonight is going to be an absolute shit show.
Yeah, look, I think that does lend to something, and we've talked about it before, but if you can, it is going to depress their ownership because they're not an attractive team to play. But if they do get a 2-kill or a 2-game sweep with 40 kills, that's a place that you want to be. We've got two teams here that I just never have a firm grasp on. Whenever you think you have an understanding of who they are and what they are, they surprise you, they change, they morph, but then they go right back to it. You've got OMG as a dog here, plus 105, has some signature wins, has performed well, has let everybody down equally, if not more, than those signature wins. Then you have Anyone's Legend, who by a lot of statistics are pretty fraudulent, but have also, found themselves in the midst of the playoff hunt. Both of these teams, as I think it stands today, are right there. So OMG is on the fringe. They're tied with FPX, relatively tied with they're pretty close to LNG and TT. I think this Anyone's Legend team, outside of some type of collapse, should make some type of playoff appearance. However, when I say outside of some type of collapse, they're going to need this game. Because Moose, let me tell you, after they play OMG, who they play. Are you ready?
The quadfecta, yeah. The
RNG, then JDG, then EDG, and then Top Esports. Look, I don't know if they take one of those 4 games. So they really need to get this 8th win against OMG. This is like make or break for them, because they could go out, after starting the season, 7-3, they could go out 0-6 in their last 6 and miss the playoffs. Would there be anything more, Rogue Warriors, Anyone's Legend? Would there be anything that would be more befitting of this team and organization than to do such a thing?
No, that would be very Rogue Warrior like. And yeah, I mean, the They have the quadfecta. The only team that they've played in the top 5 was V5, which they got 2-1 by. A really tough day for AL. Um, if they want to prove that they're going to be some like a force in the playoffs, their biggest win so far is WBG, and they did that on red side. So we are hoping that they do the same thing on red side. Because tonight they don't have blue side advantage. They're going up against OMG, who appears to only be good on blue side. So I really a really tough spot for AL, and a spot that a lot of people are probably going to be on them. It feels like a great letdown spot for them. And if AL are going to prove that they're a team that deserves to be in the playoffs, they have to do it today.
So Moose, I'm going to tell you something. I'm a little bit off on this blue side, red side stuff. I've kind of moved away from it as we've gone into patch 12, 13. I think we've seen it shift towards a 50-50 or closer to it. But it is kind of weird because in these games that are so close, it's hard to take yourself away from that, and you end up going back to old habits that you built up and that feel good. It's like when you have a tough day and you go home and you need that comfort, so you reach for your bottle of Jack or your beer, something that's been there through the hard times with you. And that blue side has been there with us and brought us a lot of joy. And I understand that what you're saying. And this is a matchup where I struggle to figure out what kind of advantage I can give one team over the other. And I guess that's kind of where I'm going to go. When we look at this for OMG, if they pick up this win, they're sitting in a pretty good position. Like, they'll have to go ahead and play Victory 5, but then they've got BLG, they've got IG. Both of those games, they won't have side selection, but those are 2 winnable series. So this is a pretty important game for them, sitting on the outside looking in. Let's take a look at these teams' recent performances. Anyone's Legend has had some time off, man. They haven't played in what seems like forever. They're not in the LCK, so I'm not going to find them there. Let's take a look here. So Anyone's Legend, the last time that we were looking at this, I think it was the conversation with FPX, and we went through this, Moose. Just like you said, they've only played one team in the top 5, and we pointed out that they really haven't played anybody. These teams have been playing bad. They lost to Victory 5. They beat Weibo, which was a big win. They beat TT, which is looking better and better every day. But as we thought they were going to ascend into this mid-tier of the LPL, they just get smacked down by FPX, who, look, is an all right team. But I don't know if OMG and FPX are all that much different. They've recently played. That did end up being a OMG series win. But then OMG goes out and just gets throttled by Weibo. I bought into it. I said we were going to see Shanji ascend and beat the Shy, and this didn't happen. And it was, I guess the concern I have when you look at this is that we've had a bunch of games where OMG, even in victory, doesn't give up a ton of kills, but in defeat, they give up a ton. 18.3. We're looking through this. You can discard this Weibo game. That's just the shit that they do sometimes. When we look at Anyone's Legend, though, this isn't the team that, Hero and Zawuji were bringing into fantasy relevance, not for the good things, but for the points that they would give up. This team's pretty run-of-the-mill and average when it comes to scoring. I think that they're going to have some ownership. The meme is Betty a sneaky play? And he never fucking is. And I obviously that's the joke. I don't know if you saw it today, Moose, and I'm not picking on you, Lee, if you're watching, but Lee had no idea that it was a meme. I don't know how you sit in that Discord and don't know about this, but we had Mort had to go and search Betty Sneaky, and there's 81 instances.
Yeah, today's a sneaky day. It's a sneaky Betty day.
But I think that the problem with AL is I don't think that they have a tremendous amount of value or upside. Price withstanding right now, unless they sweep. And now that's a DFS question in terms of betting. I think I'm going to abstain. I'm not betting anything here. I don't have a lean. I guess the only place that I might go is like an even bet on map 1 with OMG and kind of take it from there. This just feels like a live bet series to me. Just kind of seems like I don't want to bet this. And the same thing with the LGD one. If I'm up and I'm watching the games, I'm going to look at draft and I'm going to make some decisions there. I'm not pre-betting either of these games. I should have just said that I was kicking it over to you, but that was me kicking it to you.
A lot to add here from my end. So OMG have 5 wins on the season. They're 5-17. 4 of those wins are on blue side. The only win they have on red side is against WE, to which they gave up a game to. So their only red side win is against WE. Everything else is blue side, and their only losses on blue side were to WBG the other day and to, I believe it was Top Esports. And JD as well. But overall, this is the reason why this is so close. I know you're not a blue side stan anymore, but it does feel like OMG's only time they win is from blue side. It just feels like they like the blue side, and I think that if we just focus on recent performances, OMG coming off of a win off FPX, absolutely shit the bed against WBG, and they lost to TT. I feel like AL do have, this is their best shot and a pretty good shot of winning it. That being said, it is a close matchup for a reason. Both of these teams are probably roughly equal, roughly with FPX and the same kind of skill tree, and we just have no clue what's going to happen. I'm scared to play cash tonight because everything says it's AL day in terms of cash. But another thing to note is the kill totals in these games with OMG just haven't been that great, right? WBG just made them look foolish with a 10 kill win and then an 18 kill win. And then the TT games were all one-sided. The FPX games were all one-sided. I think even the top games, the top games were actually pretty stacked. But that's just Top Esports being Top Esports. I remember because they pretty much threw that red side in the first game. Overall, I'm not sure if OMG lose, they actually even have a high kill total game, or if the recent performance is pretty much indicative of the fact that they're kind of mailing it in as a team. Like you said, they do have a couple winnable games. They do have BLG and IG, which would move them. Let's say they magically win those games, even though they don't have, that would move them to 7-7. I lost to V5 at 7-8, so this is basically a game for 500, and it's tough to. I mean, this is just not a good team, right? I think OMG is just overrated. AL is overrated. Betty's not sneaky, and it's good luck figuring out what you're going to play tonight. It just feels like any one of these 4 teams in the LPL has a chance to score 30 kills or 10 kills.
Yeah, and I guess, to the point that's on the screen here from Jordan, I'd have to look into it a little bit more, but one of the first things that I just popped up for me is that one of the biggest areas of success, at least for AL, has been with Betty on Illusion or Betty on Callista, and Callista seems like perma-banned by OMG. Just looking at this right now, they've banned Callista every game dating back to like the RNG series. Maybe they didn't think that Gala was going to play it, but yeah, they were banning it against LGD. It's not a champ that they're playing, and it doesn't look like it's a champ that they want to play against. So I don't know. They're kind of forcing teams into like Senna and Aphelios. And
Betty plays Senna.
Yeah, Betty plays a bunch of Senna, but he doesn't play Aphelios. Well, he hasn't played Aphelios. Sure everybody plays Aphelios, of course.
He played Aphelios against WE and gave him the 200 years.
Yeah, he's played him once.
200
He's
years
played them
though.
once. It was 8-2-7. Yeah, it was a nice run there. But he's 3-1 on Lucian. He's 4-2 on Callista. 2-1 on Ezreal. 2-0 on Misfortune. I mean, they're a winning team. They're going to have these type of stats. But that's kind of what I'm looking at. And like, look, I just don't feel like Callista and Lucian right now are in the same spot that they were a patch ago. I think that they're still fine. I think you're still going to see LPL teams play them quite a bit, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think I'm talking myself into OMG. I know you just went off on this whole thing about how they suck, and I don't disagree with you, but I think I'm going to back OMG based on blue side, based on bans, and just based on all the bans that they're going to make me. I bet on them last time, and they cost me money. I can't abandon them now, or I'll never get that money back.
I get it. I mean, I get it. I like a lot of things play to OMG's favor in this matchup, and I know, like we said, blue side, baby. They're 4-1. Their 4 wins are from blue side. I mean, all their wins are from blue side. The it's not a pretty slate. You do have to make decisions. In terms of what OMG needs to do is, like Jordan said, is WBG forced Cream to play Victor twice, so they didn't give him a Kali, they didn't give Cream anything that was going to be of use. So perhaps that's where the key lies. They had two matchups with Angel playing Talia and Ari, so perhaps AL kind of abused that as well and worked their way through the mid lane with Forge. But I mean, I if I could tell you who's going to win this game, then I'd go put the money on and not even play tonight's slate. I would just put the money on the winning team. But I think from a DFS perspective, if you look at LGD, WE, OMG, and AL, which team will be the lowest owned? And it'll be OMG. I think OMG will be the
Yeah,
lowest.
I mean, looking at like his champ pool, like gosh, like Cream loves playing on Corky. Corky's just not the dude anymore, and Victor's like I don't want to see my mid laner on Victor right now. Like I think he's
Yeah,
probably
Victor's
one
not
of like he's not the guy right now. I mean, he was the guy at the beginning of the year. It's spring, but he's not the guy right now. You know,
It's a tough match because you're basically asking yourself this: can AL win one red side game? That's all you're asking yourself. If they can, then it's 2-1 AL. If they can't, then it's 2-1 OMG, and that's really what it comes down to.
yeah, I guess I do have concerns for Cream's champ pool here and who he can play. I mean, if he can somehow get onto a Silas, that would be wonderful. But I just don't think that he's going to. When it comes to AL, I think that they're going to be smart enough to ban that. Maybe not. I don't know. Like I've been surprised before. So, all right, cool. Let's hop into cash games. Where are we at? What are we doing? Point me in a direction.
So unfortunately, the two highest priced teams tonight are Team One and Dam One. So you could play like the safest possible thing you can do is play Team One and Dam One, and you're not going to be getting much from that. You're probably going to be able to fit maybe a support captain, I think.
Nope.
That doesn't even fit. So you have to eat some poison somewhere. So I think where you eat the poison is that you play AL and you hedge. You play AL with the LCK teams, or you play AL you play AL with the LCK teams. That's all you can do, really. The other thing that I was thinking of also is playing AL with LGD, and then just playing WE and OMG in GPPs.
Doesn't feel like a good cash slate.
It's not a good cash slate because even if you try to play AL with Damwon, they're so heavily priced that you can't even get carries. You can only get jungler. I don't mind Jiahao Canyon, but you can't even get a full stack. You have to play it with you have to play AL with like Jiahao and then like either owner or Canyon and two T1 players. Long story short, it's a very difficult slate to play cash. You're either playing AL with LGD or you're playing AL with the LCK teams, and that's probably the safest place you can go. Let me see.
Yeah.
Try AL with DK.
AL with DK is a ZDZ captain.
Yeah,
I mean, I think you can do more than that, though. But that's just the way that it comes out. I mean, you might be able to get a little bit more than that. I'm not sure. Probably not, actually.
You can't. And then AL with T1 is, I think, AL with T1 is Jahao. So you get four LPL, 2 LCK, and that's it. You're looking at pretty much what cash is going to be.
Yeah. When we look at these teams, okay, so if we are going to play, just to take a look at like how these project out, 610, Betty with LGD. If we go here, we've got a 679. Like this just projects so goddamn well. How does this project out? 690. I mean, there's going to be some high scores. You're going to take some chances. When we look at these and the way they're priced and how they're projecting out, WE, OMG, both look like they're the darlings of the projections and by quite a bit. And I think that's right. I guess the spot where we could find something that maybe, separates it, and Shanks just obviously has some ridiculous numbers and wins, just doesn't have enough of them to kind of even that out, is we look at this, and I guess the spot where you can find, I think, some leverage, even though he's not going to be sneaky, is aiming. Aiming projects just as well as Betty, right there with Assume, and better than the other guys. But I think people are going to want to go to Betty a little bit more, especially if you're playing a dog. If you're doing one of these crazy Frankenstein lineups, which I think people will do, aiming's a guy that you can always fit in there and just hope that KT beats T1. If they do, you're obviously in a good spot from a GPP. But that's about it. I mean, like that's what I got. This is just a disgusting slate. You're going to have to go out there. You just have to play like lineups and GPPs that you absolutely hate, you think that are going to lose, and hope that you're wrong. And the reality is most of us are wrong most of the time when we're trying to pick winners for our DFS lineups. So, hey, what's the difference? Maybe you're wrong in the right way this time.
Yeah, and I would say also don't be afraid to play double dog today, right? OMGWE are very live tonight. Probably the first time I've seen two very live dogs where you can stack them, and that could easily be the optimal, right?
I think the one thing that you could do, speaking of Spelkowski, is prize picks. Let's take a look at something over there. I'm kind of
good luck playing the 15 tonight. Everybody's gonna have every single combination of everything. 94.
When you look at it, what do they have? So they've got I don't want aiming. This is where I want guys from this game, because I think you can drop a game and still get these type of kills. You know what I'm saying? And I think the same thing can be said for, Betty and Abel. These guys are going to score, and as long as they don't get swept, whether it's the favorite or especially the dog, I think that they're in a good spot. They just don't give you enough options here, and I hate it. But that's my input, Spell. Moose, anything else?
I don't know. It's an exciting slate, man. I'm staying up for it for sure. I just, it's just two really, really crappy teams playing two really not so great teams, right? So,
who do you think is going to have the highest ownership?
Anyone's Legend will have the highest ownership. I think it's AL, LGD. In terms of favorites, I would say it's AL, LGD. T1 and KT will probably have roughly the same, and then Damwon, and then HLE dead last.
Yeah, look, I'm 100% with you. AL, they're the third most expensive dog, which typically tends to, third most expensive favorite out of four. That, yeah, for sure. I think AL is going to be the highest owned, and I think that might be why you want to get away from it. Moose, thanks for joining me for another Tank Top Tuesday. Guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, like the videos, and stick around for the video if you weren't here at the beginning. It's a fantastic opening video. We're going to sign off with it right now. Moose, you stick around. I'm going to play the video real quick as we exit stage left.
Tuesday on the Shark Cove, let's all celebrate. Two dudes in tank tops to talk about league. Where to shop? These sharks are the best in the game. Did you know that on the show on Tuesday it's a gun show? The arms out for all to see. Take time Tuesday on the Shark